104.5 The Team, your home for New York sports. ESPN radio broadcaster, Gilliland's own Marc Kestecher with us now. Kesty, getting ready for the finals. Where are we going to hear your lovely pipes?
Well, you will have me in the play-by-play chair for the first time ever, which is kind of exciting. I did the studio portion of the finals for the last 14 years. So starting tomorrow night, 8 Eastern Time, right here on ESPN Radio, Hubie Brown. As I've been given lots of advice, just give a lot of time and score and let Hubie do the rest. So I think I'll be okay.
We are very proud of you here in the Capital Region. An awesome accomplishment for you and your career. Take us through the next few hours and days leading up to Game 1 of the NBA Finals. What are you going to be doing?
Well, our whole ESPN radio crew, I told you about Hubie. Mark Stein is going to be our sideline reporter. Kevin Winter, who's taken my place as the studio host, and John Barry is our studio analyst. We're all going to head over with our producers to the Oracle. Media Day is scheduled today, and we usually get a player or two and both head coaches to interview. We'll lay a few minutes down on tape. And then my favorite part is just letting Hubie loose. After I'm done with my inane questions, Hubie gets all the good stuff, at least the stuff the guys will talk about when the recorder is not rolling. We might get some matchups. We might get a few little tidbits here and there. The finals is always hard, guys, because the league takes over the media, and so we have these media days the day before games. I always find coaches are a lot more apt to give up some of their good information an hour before tip when they know these are the last guys I'm going to talk to. They trust us. They know we're not going to go right on Twitter or call up the 800 line to ESPN Radio and go on the air with breaking information. They know we'll hold it for about 60 minutes. Sometimes it's a little dicier, a day and a half before the game. But I have to say, Mike Brown and or Steve Kerr and Ty Lue, they're pretty straight up guys. And, these two teams have seen each other now for 2 straight finals. There's not that many secrets. I know there are some changes, but I do enjoy when Hubie kind of grills them over for some of what they're going to be doing in the series.
104.5 The Team, Levack Goz with Marc Kestecher right now, play-by-play for the NBA Finals this year. Looking back at these playoffs, they were kind of lackluster. Is it because we just knew we were going to get here that they weren't that interesting?
I think when we look back on it in retrospect, it's easy to say that, and it could be true. I mean, look, there's no doubt these two teams have been on a collision course, but, it looks easier to say now than when I was sitting in Cleveland for Game 1 of the playoffs back on April 17th or whatever day it was against Indiana when they nearly lost that game. C.J. Miles had an open shot to win Game 1. Game 2 was not a cakewalk, and then Game 3, they had, the biggest halftime deficit overcome ever, and then went on their way to a 12-1 record. So now it kind of looks like it. And, if I want to pick at it in the West, I think if Kawhi Leonard doesn't get hurt, and I know to a lesser extent Tony Parker, because he's not the same guy he's been the last 15 years, but he was playing at an uptick. I think San Antonio, and we saw that for a little bit more than a half of basketball in Game 1 before Leonard got hurt, that was, we were close to having a very competitive series. So the first couple of rounds were non-competitive, for these two. And then I was not shocked at Cleveland's matchup dominance over Boston. I thought Washington would give them a tougher tussle had the Wizards gotten through in that series. But it has been disappointing, and let's hope that all the hype, a Super Bowl-like week of hype, can live up to it here in this series coming up.
Let's talk about legacies, both the Warriors and the Cavaliers. The Warriors trying to chase down redemption from losing the finals last season, and LeBron, it seems like he always is chasing down the ghost of Michael Jordan. Which legacy storyline intrigues you more this season?
I think the Warriors, for I guess obvious reasons, the fact that they blew a 3-1 lead last year, that they shocked all of us and brought Kevin Durant into the fold, for a team that if Draymond Green doesn't get suspended, you could probably argue safely that they would be back-to-back champions. And not only did they bring, one of the top 3 current active players, to their roster where they now have 4 All-Stars and a former Finals MVP coming off the bench, is, that they have put together, a 3-season span of excellence, that we really haven't seen as far as regular season is concerned. I guess, the Bulls teams in the 90s with Jordan, we could argue there. To add Kevin, to play as well as they have since he came back from injury, to dominate as they have so far in this postseason, and just to think all the different scenarios. If they win, mission accomplished. If they win B, yeah, but they got Kevin Durant. And if they lose, oh my goodness, 67 wins off a 73-win season and adding Kevin Durant, I can't even imagine what the narratives will be. So as good and tasty as the LeBron narratives are on the Cleveland side, that tree branch of Warriors narratives is, to me, is mind-blowing.
Marc Kestecher here with us right now on ESPN Radio 104.5, The Team. Kesty, I look at that LeBron narrative, and the one that screams to me the Cavs have a chance is, last year he doesn't get the MVP. This year he's not even on the stage for it. I can just see him, putting on one of those next-level performances. Do you think that's possible?
What he did last year was, simply amazing. It's easy to forget. I think he averaged almost 30 points, over 11 rebounds, more than 9 assists. He was just amazing last year. I think he was over 2 blocks per game. He was doing everything. And, for me, this is probably the best team he has had going into a final since, those Miami teams that he had with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, because not only has Kyrie Irving stepped it up, but if Kevin Love can replicate anything, what he did in the Boston series and even overall in this postseason and his three-point shooting into this series against Golden State, and he's probably got enough weapons. The biggest question for me is defensively, and that's been the question all year long for Cleveland. And as much as better defense they've played so far in the postseason, I got to see it against this Warriors team, because I've been shipped out west here for the last 3 weeks or so, 3-4 weeks, and I know the competition hasn't been as stiff, and San Antonio, lost a defensive player of the year in Kawhi Leonard. But I just want to see how this rejuvenated Cleveland team can do against Golden State, and especially when they go small, what Ty Lue's decisions are going to be, how long he can keep Kevin Love on the floor. Tristan Thompson, as the lone big against the small lineup, was very big last year down the stretch. So all those questions have to be answered. All
right, Kesty. Now I know you're on play-by-play, so you like I've taken Cavs in 7. Goz says Warriors in 5. I know you can't do that. But it sounds to me like you'd be pretty shocked that the Cavs took this thing home.
Yeah, you know what? If you read between the lines, just looking at it on paper, look, all I care is close games and 7 games. That's all I care about, and that's what I would love to see. But in the back of my mind, and I've said this, covering Golden State now for the last few weeks, is I think, much like the Spurs, if they had stayed healthy, and even in Game 1, even if they have a 5 to 10 point lead somewhere midway through the fourth quarter, the specter of Golden State either turning you over or the Cavs turning it over or missing a shot, and then it becomes transition 3, stop, transition 3, stop, and in about 1 minute you've got a 9-0, 10-0 run. If the Cavs can limit that, keep it close, possessions down, lower scoring game, much like Game 7 last year, then I'm all with you. I think they got a shot, but yeah, I think you're right. I'm trying to talk myself into seeing how Cleveland can win this series. But I just hope it's competitive and long, and I think as NBA fans and as basketball fans who have stuck with a postseason that hasn't quite lived up to it, I think that would cure some of those ills.
My favorite Kesty calls are the ones when you get shocked, so I'm really hoping that Cleveland rolls out. Man, we're so proud of you getting the play-by-play. That's an awesome achievement, and the Cap region is really proud to call you our own.
Well, I appreciate that, guys. Always good to be on in the Capital Region, and I've been saying this for a year since I got this assignment. I won't believe it until the national anthem ends and I'm standing next to Hubie Brown. We're now within about 24 hours, so I think the goal is almost there. But again, talk to me in about 24 hours.
you know we'll be bothering you at some point during the series. So.
Anytime, guys.
Kesty, thanks so much, and best of luck, brother.
You got it. We'll talk to you guys soon.